There you go. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for Fairfield County Virtual Community. We have this morning Dream Big Workshop. So we have the McGillivarys and we also have Sarah Bay. They're going to give you some information about the Dream Big Workshop, why they started it, how it's going, possibilities for maybe more people to join in on that. So I'll turn it over to you guys and take it away.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for spending time with us today. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. So SoZo Pediatrics opened our doors almost to the day 2 years ago. And prior to even opening, what we wanted to do is we thought, a great thing, a necessary thing is to hear the heartbeat of the community. And so before we were even open, we helped start an outreach to the community every Saturday morning, where for at least 2 hours, we would provide people with food, talk to them, and most importantly, we would listen. And so for the past 2 years, we have listened to people in the community. Through that time, we've probably interacted with over 3,000 people that we've helped. Sometimes just listening, sometimes giving an ear, sometimes helping them get food, directing them to social services. And what we came away with at that time was, people really have a need for a sense of community. And not only that, is that they need people to come alongside of them to accomplish goals that are bigger than they can do themselves. And I think everybody needs that personally. So we came up with this idea for this Dream Big Workshop. And the idea is to build a community of fearless people who support one another, both emotionally and also sometimes financially, to help people accomplish goals. And it's a scary thing at times. And I actually tell the people in the class, if you get to a point where you're like, I'm not sure if I can do this, this is way out of my comfort zone, I tell them that's a really good place to be, because that's what we want to do. And so we first tried to identify, well, how are we going to do this, right? We see a need, and what are we going to do about it? And around that time, I saw this material being released by a speaker named Bob Goff. And I've read a couple of his books. He's actually been on the New York Times bestseller list many times. And he's a fantastic speaker. He's actually hilarious. If you guys ever get a chance to listen to him, he is just fabulous. And he released this book, and it was called Dream Big. And through his life, he told stories of how he attempted things that were just, people thought they were absurd, right? And just to give you some example, he's like, I want to help sign peace treaties. And so he actually contacts the UN, and he's like, how can I do this? Does anybody need help with this? And he actually became an ambassador to Uganda and to sign something like 20 peace treaties or something like that. He's established orphanages in Africa, helped kids learn. He's actually rescued kids. And so he's built this Dream Big framework that accompanies the book. And so there's a workbook of about 100 pages, and there's also a video series. And so when I saw this, I was like, well, this is pretty awesome, right? Somebody's already done the hard work for me. I don't have to reinvent anything. And so if you don't know, I'm a scientist at heart. That's my training. I've been a scientist for like 30 years. And so I'm like, well, what does everybody need, right? You need a pilot study, right? Would anyone ever be interested in this? How would we even do it? And so back in August of 2020 or July, we started the first one, and we just put it out through Connection West. And if you don't know, we are a part, our offices are located in the Connection West building. And from day one, not only with the Dream Big program, they have been amazing supporters of us. They put up posters for us. They gave us classrooms. They're like, what do you need? Let us help you do this. I'm like, well, that's amazing, right? So we launched the first Dream Big program, and that's actually where we met Sarah Bay here. She was a part of the class. And like I said, we just put the invitation out, and I think we had 11 people who attended the first class and 8 people who completed it. And so these are smaller classes because it does require a lot of work and a lot of coaching and a lot of involvement from us. And I thought the first class was amazing. There are things that came out of it that really blew me away. And I can tell you that, so I've taught at the college level, and this class is way harder to teach, way harder. Because what you have to do is you have people coming in and some of them know exactly what they want to do, but that's very rare. Actually, most people come in with, well, I kind of want to do this, or I'm not sure at all what I want to do.
I think the coolest thing is when someone comes in and they're like, I don't really have a dream. And then they're sitting there and they're like, wow, no, I do have a dream. And then they're like, I have another dream and another dream. And so then by the end, they have like 4 or 5 dreams, and you kind of hone in on one to kind of complete, which usually has like a bigger one as well. And I think it's kind of fun just to ignite even just people's dreams, because some, like one, she goes, I'm going to be like your hard one. You have to find my dream. But she did. And not only did she find one, but she found like more than one. And I think that's really, really fun that you start out with something small and then you realize like you're putting limits on yourself and that you're allowed to dream. And it's a really good thing. Yeah.
So we had someone, and she was an older woman, and she made the comment to me. She's like, I have forgotten that I stopped dreaming in life. I stopped. And she's like, wow, I'm going to do something about this. And then she was telling some of her friends about that. And to me, that is just amazing. Like my jaw dropped. I actually started crying. Well, I cry all the time anyway, but I started tearing up on that because it was so awesome to me that something like that could happen, And I don't know, Sarah, if you want to mention kind of what you had in your heart at the time, because that led to something later.
Yeah. So when I participated in the first Dream Big workshop, I really appreciated that space that was offered, and it just gave me room to explore things like with the help of other people, and stirred things inside of me. And I knew going into it that I wanted to do something with the community. And it really helped like narrow down my focus and really help me clarify more what specifically that would be. And that has to do with churches and organizations coming together to meet the needs of the community. That's where I felt God had put that on my heart, and that's what I'm called to do, and that's what I'm supposed to pursue. My background is social work, so I've always had social work jobs, and the workshop helped me realize that that I needed to make a jump from working in social work to working in ministry. So that was really hard for me because I love social work. I loved the job that I had, but I ended up leaving that job to move into full-time ministry and still pursuing that dream. And so Jason Wolf, who's the new project developer here, he approached me with a similar heart and a similar what he wants to do in the community too. So that is in the works for now, and really excited for that. And because of just all that Dream Big did for me, I wanted to, I also work with youth, and so I just thought like this would be really cool to do with like just youth, and to have like a youth focused Dream Big. And so I asked Aaron and Glenn if they'd want to do that with me, and we got a grant from the Fairfield County Foundation, and we are in the middle of a youth focused Dream Big right now. It's been a lot of fun. It's really neat to see just like what Aaron was saying, some of the kids already kind of knew what they wanted to do, but some of them had no clue, and just seeing just the wide variety of ideas and things that are on even young people's heart. I mean, things from, starting a business, or like there's other people that want to do things in the community and help the community, and people who want to start a band, or someone who wants to learn how to sing in front of people, but she's afraid to, and just being able to give her some small steps where she can actually see, oh, it is possible that maybe I could work through my fears and actually achieve something. It's been a lot of fun.
So I thought I would tell you a little bit of how we structure it because, you know, that's kind of interesting, I think. And so we go off of like Bob Goff's framework. And so it's just really, you know, let's conceive the goal. Let's think of something. He calls it an absurd idea. And for him, he does mean absurd. And some people are like, whoa, let's be more careful. I'm like, no, let's do something big. And the project that we select can be a part of that bigger idea, that absurd idea. And then he talks about how do we explore these opportunities? Who do I need to talk to? What resources do I need? And we help the kids and adults talk about this. How are we going to do this? We know a lot of people, and who do we have to talk to make this project work? Because we're all trying to do this, right? We're all trying to solve these same problems. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to know the person who's already done it, right? And talk to them. And then we talk about taking action, right? Because we're not just dreaming, we're actually going to accomplish goals. So we're going to move forward in this. And this has been a part of the learning curve for me, you know. I'm kind of a driven person, and so I want to make sure that the goal is accomplished. And I've realized, you know, a lot of times when you teach, right, you do the most learning. I've done a lot of learning in this, you know, that some kids, they're going to accomplish, and people, they're going to accomplish the goal. Some aren't going to accomplish it in the time frame, and it's going to take quite a bit longer. But that's the important part, is we're developing these relationships with these people and saying, hey, it's okay if you take longer than the 6 to 8 weeks of what we're doing. We're going to stay with you. And every time I see you, now I know what's in your heart. Now I know the passion that's inside of you. And so I can encourage that even outside of those, you know. And in our first class, we had 7 out of 8 people that I know of right now where the projects are completed. And so they do take a little bit longer. And the other thing I've realized too is that some people, they're really nervous, especially around this community. They're really nervous to enter like a classroom setting. They don't feel confident and stuff. And so I realized too that a lot of this is mentoring outside of those, you know, 2 hours that we spend once a week. And so we are in contact with people a lot. We encourage them. And I'm going to brag on my wife here because she does a lot of the extra stuff, you know, outside of the time. And so I'll just give you some examples because, you know, I think that's where the important things come out. I can tell you that these goals are met, but to hear the stories, at least I think so, is truly fantastic. So for example, in the first one, we had 3 books that were published on Amazon, you know, and, you know, I'll just talk about one of them because I think it kind of summarizes the heart, is that there was a woman here, a young woman, and she had tried to commit suicide 3 years ago, right? And I'm very thankful that she's alive today. And she entered the class and she's like, I want to tell my story, that 3 years ago from where I was to the healing that has taken place, right? And she's like, I don't know how to tell that. And of course, with a lot of these people, we're friends on social media with them, you know, we encourage them. And I noticed that when she was posting stuff, that she has a beautiful writing style, that the things in her heart were beautiful. I'm like, you've already told your story and you don't even know it. And she's like, what do you mean? You know, I'm like, we're going to make a book together. We're going to put it together in a book format. And I'm like, you've already written it. We're just going to compile it a little bit, you know. And the beauty of that too, and she has done that, is that, you know, I definitely drove it at the beginning, but she's in the class now again, and she wants to do another one. And instead of me driving it, she's driving it. And she's calling it The Girl Who Overcame the Darkness. Ooh, I just got goosebumps. And she's going to accomplish, and she's going to get like a photographer and take pictures of different places that are very meaningful to her, you know, that tell part of the story that we didn't tell before, you know. To me, that's just a beautiful part of it. We also have, you know, we mentioned a youth who started his own company. You know, he was 18, he started it, and he made a display at Connection West of some of his work. He built an online profile, and now what he's going to do, he's taking the class again because he really liked it. And so now he's going to have his first client, you know? So he's like, oh, I need to do this. And what I love too is that the stories are building upon each other. So in the first workshop, as just another example, is that we had a young woman who wanted to do something against human trafficking, you know, that the selling of humans, it's the #1 criminal enterprise in the world. And it's the second in the United States, and it's happening everywhere. And she's like, I want to do something about that. And, we aren't experts in that. And I'm like, we don't need to be experts. We just need to know the experts, right? And we need to bring them in. So I talked to this young woman, and we joined in on this Global Freedom Summit, where people from all 50 states and 70 countries around the world got together to educate ourselves about this. And I don't know if Aaron wants to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it was pretty cool because it started out like something small, but even just connecting people to each other. So once we did the global summit, then we started meeting other people that had the same heart and same passion. So then we can connect her with people that do it locally, which is awesome, like all the beautiful ladies from Out of Darkness. And then there was even a nurse that came in, a forensic nurse, and we did another one this year. So this forensic nurse came in and kind of walked through just different things that you can do and how you can help people. And so it's kind of connecting people, like it was big, and then now it's kind of getting smaller, I guess, more local. And that's been really fun to see as well.
Yeah, I mean, I want you to think about this, is that this was the young woman's dream. And it started off like that. And we had an expert also from Pickaway County come in and give us some education, right? And we're like, we can do more with this, I think. And so as Aaron mentioned, that we talked to some people from Out of Darkness Columbus who deal directly with victims, right? Well, we're going to do more work with them. And it's going to be here at through Connection West. And so I think that's super exciting. Something that started off as just a really tiny step is that we are going to be able to touch some of these survivors directly. Whoop, I'm going to tear up again. Nope. We're going to be able to do that. We're going to be able to do that here because a young woman who was 20 stepped out on something, To me, that is just powerful, and it speaks to something. And it's not me, it's all these people that are coming around us and doing something like that. So in our second workshop, one thing about these workshops that is kind of funny is that they're really different. Each one is so different. We had our first one, we had the one that Sarah talked about in our second one. We had people from the community. So in this one, we had 4 people who were currently homeless, right? 7 people who had experienced homelessness, and 5 people who had experienced addiction. And so they came in and they were so fun. They were great, and they weren't sure, they're like, well, I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, let's do something. And they're like what, So imagine this, right? These people are homeless, right? And they're getting help from wonderful organizations. And they're like, we're going to do something awesome, And I'll tell you, Rachel, some of them, they just really, oh man, they hit me so hard. Like one of the homeless, he's 18 years old, homeless youth. He's getting tons of help. And that's one thing I want to emphasize too, is that there's lots of organizations involved this. And so when I'm talking, there's Connection West, there's other people, there's Lutheran Services. I know Community Action does a lot of stuff. And so we are not doing this alone, right? We are partnering with these people. And so one of the youth, Rachel, he's like, my big dream is to have a birthday party. He was 18. He had never had a birthday party.
He was living in the shelter.
And he was living in the shelter. So we did that. We had a party here at Connection West for him. And I want to tell you that in a couple of months, this is amazing. And again, it's partnering. This is not all me, right? He had a birthday party. He was getting care and the support that he needed. He graduated high school. We took him there, right? It was really fun. And then he gets a job, and now he has an apartment because Lutheran Social Services has helped him, right? And so because we have those partnerships and those relationships, now we know where he is, right? And he's always around here. We keep in touch. We talk to him every day, and that started because of a birthday party, right? A birthday party. Another one, he was homeless. He's like, I need to get a home. This is what I want to do. And then I want to show others how to do it. And we helped with that. And so he's actually in Logan County now. But, one of them too, and I hope Aaron can talk about this, is, we talk sometimes about these big ones. And an important thing that I've learned is do not ever underestimate the small steps too. And so Aaron, if you could talk about maybe Trey and what you've done with him.
So one of the youth, he wanted to get his driver's license, and which requires an adult to drive with you, or someone over the age of 21 that has their license. He was 19 at the time, and the problem was he didn't have anyone in his family that had his driver's license. So he needed someone to drive with him And so I took him out and drove with him all the time. And then I took him up to Alum Creek to take the test. He passed the test. And so he's going to be the first one in like 3 generations to have his driver's license. And just think of like how huge. I was like, this is so big for their family. Like, how great is that? So hopefully we're working with God's Garage. So hopefully they can get a car eventually and kind of move and do some other awesome things. So I think it's pretty awesome that, yeah. Yes, so cool.
Yeah, I mean, 3 generations are living in his house.
Yeah.
And he is the first one. And so we literally, I think we spent $30 on this student and helped him transform his life, you know? And I say we're getting funding from Fairfield County Foundation. Thank you.
Yes.
Because they took a big step on this, right? Because they're like, oh, what goals, what goals do you need? And I'm like, I don't know what the goals are, I'm sorry, but it's gonna be amazing, you know? And they were so patient and kind and supportive with us. I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just something like that is really cool. So I'm gonna pass on to Sarah a little bit too about, these current goals with these kids. It's fun because we're seeing of what we can do, what sort of things in their heart. So for instance, one youth, he loves monkeys. Like he calls himself the monkey maniac, right? So he wants to do something with conservation or using, maybe as a, maybe in zoos or something. I'm not sure what his goal is, but he's like, I want to do something with monkeys. And so, what do we do with that, right? This is some of the harder parts. Well, it turns out that there's some people that you can find in the state of Ohio, and they let you come visit and they educate you, and they have these things set up, and it's like they can show you, and teach him how to do this. And through the Columbus Zoo, we can help partner with that and get education for him. And also another one wants to be perhaps a marine biologist. Hey, let's do one of those experiences where we go hands on hand, and we learn about those things. This is revolutionary and transformational for some of these people. I don't know if you want to talk about any of the other ones.
One thing I like about the curriculum that we're using is that it really does stir up a lot of different things, like the dream ideas that are given by Bob Goff. Some of them are just personal, some of them are community related, some of them are outreach driven. So it really gives them a lot of variety to choose from. And he also, when you're setting up all your absurd ideas, there's questions that follow up, like, does this dream help you love others well? And things like that. So that it gets them thinking, outside of themselves. And so it's been really neat to see how these, everyone's dreams are different and unique to who they are, who they're created to be, their own passions, and just also, with the monkey dream that one of our youth has, he was thinking about how he could use that to help others, and he talked about having therapy monkeys, and the therapy monkeys would help other people that are depressed and stuff like that. And it's just been really cool to see all the dreams coming into place. Yeah.
So that's an important part that she was talking about, is that I do emphasize, I'm like, I want you to have your dream. I want you to have everything about it, and I want you to share it with others. I want you to bring people together. I want you to bring people into this dream. And, someone wants to write a book, they're like, well, how do I do that? I'm like, we're going to invite people and to use their skills to help us and to do this. And I want you to share it with people, because that's where the power comes. And so, super fun part. But again, we want to thank everybody for their support in this, because it's a new adventure and I'm learning a ton. It's definitely challenging me. One thing I really love about Sarah's approach is, as I said, I used to teach in college, so it's more of a lecture approach. And I've really appreciated Sarah's more relational approach. She's so good at that.
It's really fun. And just even ourselves, you're like, wow, I'm dreaming small. I'm going to dream a little bit bigger. And just involving other people in our dreams is really fun, or even just doing someone else's dream with them. It's been very challenging and very rewarding. And I've loved getting to know everyone and just helping them. Some, like he said, some are really smaller dreams that lead to bigger dreams, and some are really big dreams. And so it's to find a small avenue to get to those big dreams. But it's been really, really very fun, very rewarding. And God's just blessing all of it. It's pretty cool.
I love the partnerships and I love the collaboration. I mean, my position is community connecting, but this is a whole different level of that. And I love that piece because like you're telling the stories and the hair on my arms is standing up too, because I think everybody needs to know that they have that open ability to dream, and people do forget. I mean, you get stuck in your day-to-day, your jobs, your kids, all of the things, and people forget, I believe, that there's more there. There's more that they could accomplish. So I think what you're doing is amazing. I love the thought of it being for adults, and then for teens, like you said, is a whole new level. I mean, I have a senior in high school, and getting him to just determine what he wants to do when he graduates in May is like, I have no idea, and you feel limited for them. And I think they feel limited. And this is just a huge, bigger spectrum of a way to look at life. And I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Rich.
I do have a couple little quick questions. So the classes, they were for adults first, and now you're focusing on teens. How long do they last? Like, is it a 8-week? How long does that go?
So it's changed because we're figuring it out,
Okay.
So we did 8 weeks at first, and I thought that was a little long. And so I think we're going to say probably with a 6-week program where it's, we've been doing 6:30 to 8 or something like that for 6 weeks. So it's like an hour. And one thing that I really like that Sarah has brought in is she starts with a meal, to get us to know each other better. And I'm going to definitely continue that. I didn't do it at first, but I love that part of it, just sit and talk and laughing and get to know each other a little better.
Definitely. So is it going to be open to anyone, or are we still just figuring all of these things out? I mean, how do people get involved?
Yeah, so, we've been doing a lot of things through social media, but I think, and especially through this class too, I think we are probably going to separate. We're going to have classes where it's going to be like 18 and older, and then I think we'll probably do high school again in the future. I'm not sure when we're going to work those out, but I think we're going to probably keep those separate. I really like doing that, and I love how Sarah has done it too. So we'll probably do both approaches, I think.
Okay, cool. So I'm not going to ask more questions. Does anyone else have another question? Because I could just keep talking.
I do. This is Karen. Thanks for sharing. What a neat idea. How does anyone contact you? Is there contact information that you can give or put in the chat?
Yeah, so you can send it to SoZo Pediatrics. So that's an email, sozopediatrics.com. That makes no sense. SoZoPediatrics@gmail.com. You can write me personally, and it's glen.mcgillivary@gmail.com, but that's a long last name. Why don't we stay with SoZo Pediatrics? We're also on Facebook, and so you can find.
What is the youngest person that you've actually worked with?
So right now we have an 8th grader. Yeah.
13.
Yep. And she wants to to become a marine biologist. And so we're going to help her and her mom go to the zoo and have an experience, I think, with turtles. I think she really likes turtles. So we're going to probably start there, I think.
She likes all animals, but she loves turtles the most.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for what you do. Making that difference and having the community help is wonderful. So thank you.
Thank
you.
So we always post on Connections West when we're going to have the classes.
Yeah.
Like they send out.
Yeah. And we'll send it to Rachel too. She said she would send them out. So thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, I think though that an advertisement for this class that you have going right now, I had in our Community Connections newsletter, and it's been through our Facebook page and things too. And I think as far as the board of DD also, like I wanted to mention this, part of my job is assisting the support coordinators that we have in helping the people that we're supporting find their dream. Like what do you want to do? And dig deeper. And that's one of the hardest parts, I think, is to figure out, because people don't know, like they have to really process and really think about that. And that's a really hard thing. So I think you guys are doing a great job with that. So I'm probably going to have to come through a class so that I can use that knowledge to, keep pushing that down the line. Cause it's one of the hardest things, I think.
It is. And, one thing that you just mentioned kind of, and there's other parts to it, is there are emotional parts to this, I can't do this. I'm scared about this. And we don't shy away from that. I tell them that everything I've tried, I am super nervous about. And I'm like, I don't think I can do it. It's probably not going to work. And I'm like, but we're going to, even with that in us, we're going to be like, we're going to try it. Right. And we're going to try it together as a community. And it's okay if it doesn't work. It's absolutely okay if it goes different than we expect, And one of the things that we talk about too, Rachel, is, and this is kind of, I'm finding this is a harder part for people, is that oftentimes you have to quit something to pursue it, and sometimes quit something really good and sometimes even great. And those things are hard decisions. Well, Sarah did that, I understand how hard that is. We did it actually. I don't know if you know that, but we did that when we helped start the clinic. Is we quit a lot of things to go on this great adventure that we're going on, and that's not an easy step.
Yep, agreed. I have a hard time cleaning up my schedule just to go do things with my family sometimes, and life gets really crazy. Sometimes it's really important to balance that out. And yeah, I completely get that. I think that you answered all the questions that I had, and I hope that you'll remember me as a resource too. If you have a dream, if someone needs some help in connecting, if you need to connect people with people in the community, let me know too, because I would love to be part of making all those different things happen and the dreams definitely come true. So keep me in mind there too. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, you guys. I feel like we've tapped out Connection West. We've literally had almost every single part of Connection West. I feel like virtual community could just be them. Maybe it will be. I don't know. We could make that work. But yeah, I appreciate again you guys coming and taking time out of your day to share with us, because it's very important that we get the word out for you too. So we'll share that link and see if we can plug some more people in.
It's funny, Rachel, is one of my sons, he loves marketing and business. And he's always like, Dad, you got to get it out there. And I had a conversation, really good at it. And he's like, he had to have a heart to heart with me. He's like, Dad, you're really bad at this. So I'm going to help you. I was like, thank you. Made me laugh. You got to love your kids.
But that's okay if you're bad at it, because you know somebody that's good at it. We can all work together, right? That's part of the collaboration. So we'll just use everybody's wonderful abilities and make it work out for everyone.
Well, you yourself said you don't have to be the expert. You just have to know the expert. So
that's right.
Keep that in mind.
Yep. So if that's your thing, contact us.
It's not mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, you guys. I just want to give a quick rundown of next month. So this is the end of August for virtual community already. So coming up in September, we have Stump, which is a new business downtown that has to do with plants. That's pretty much all I know about that. Picture Perfect Ranch will be coming on too. And that's a whole, that's a photography, and that's also visiting animals, and there's a working ranch there, and that's a lot of opportunity. And then also another Connection West program, Lancaster Aftercare. So I think that's not exactly how you say it, but After School Programs of Lancaster is going to be on September. And then we have 2 openings. So if anyone knows anyone that would like to share on virtual community, the last 2 Thursdays of the month we have open. So you could send them my way if you know anyone. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
So thanks again, you guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.